welcome to the space. I go by B. I use she, they pronouns. I am a certified yoga instructor and a full-time nomad. I am also a trained mental health trauma therapist. So what does that mean? I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling with a master's level certification in trauma approaches and recovery. And this is Paradox Traveler. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about mental health and the nomadic life. And the goal of this is to build community and talk about accessibility of healthcare and what that really looks like for people who are out here living the nomadic journey.
You can show your support for this podcast by liking and subscribing here on Spotify or anywhere that you listen to this podcast, now available on most major streaming services.
Today we have an amazing guest on the show, and I am going to have her introduce herself with as much or as little information as she'd like, and we're going to go ahead and take it away. So, hey, cool. Welcome into the space.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Olivia Guzman. I use she, her pronouns. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. What makes me qualified to even speak about this? But I lived in a trailer for 6 months, traveling the country in a tow-behind, 20-foot Coleman lantern trailer. So yeah, I feel a little bit qualified to discuss what it's like to be a nomad and what that feels like and what that looks like in the mental health sphere as well. So yeah, really excited to be here. Thank you.
I love that. And for those of you listening, here is the front of her truck. So we're actually camping out on a friend's property, and there is a huge storm coming in. So we are taking refuge inside of the truck right now. So
yep, the truck that currently has a tent attached to the back of it, where we will be riding out the storm. We is myself and my amazing dog Ichabod. Yeah, I guess the one downside to a podcast is you guys won't be able to see how cute he is, but take my word for it, he's very cute.
If you decide you want to drop your social medias at all, then people can definitely see your pet if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even really know what the handle is off the top of my head, but I think
so
it's
healthy.
Just Olivia.Guzman, M-A-N, and Olivia with an O, which feels worth mentioning because I have a 16-year-old sister and all of her Olivia friends are with an A. So the new generation is getting creative with the spelling of Olivia. So yeah.
You're seeing me try to work that out in my head. I'm like, Olivia?
Yeah, A-L-I.
This feels like a whole different name.
I know, but
Olivia.
Technically, I guess it makes more sense because it's Olivia versus Olivia, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel aged right
now. Yes, no, so did I.
Okay, well, now we know. Thanks for doing this, for spending the rainy time in the truck with me. I love it.
I'm so excited.
So what inspired you to get on the road in the first place, to start that nomadic journey?
Yeah, what a good question. Being some form of a nomad had been a dream of mine since I was in high school. I was in high school between the years of, this is going to sound crazy, but 2011 to 2015. So different world then, but definitely at the peak of the what people like to call stomp clap, like Edward Sharpe, Lumineers, van life was big. People had a clueless optimism, I guess, for how the world was going to be, and I was just fascinated by it. And there's this one social media influencer, I guess I'll call her, but she's so much more than that. She's also an incredible author, named Brianna Media, and she was someone who I've been following since high school, who started out living in an orange van with her 2 dogs and her husband, and it just seemed like the absolute dream.
I think I've read this book.
Yes.
Actually, I've listened to this audio book.
Yes. Okay, so she has 2 books, Nowhere for Very Long, and Never Leave the Dogs Behind, I think, is the name of the other one. I've read both of them, both incredible reads. But she was the biggest inspiration to me when I was 17 and watching her live this life, and I've always had dogs and loved traveling and nature, and so it just seemed like living in a van one day was just for me. And then I was in a position in 2023 that allowed me to purchase a brand new trailer, and purchase a used Toyota Tacoma. and I lived in it on my parents' property for a year while I fixed it up inside. It was brand new, so it didn't really need fixing, but it definitely didn't match my like aesthetic comfort. So I painted it orange and put green tiles in and terrazzo floors, and I made it very homey. And then after living in it and learning about how to live in a trailer for a year, I took off. So March 2024 to September 2024, I was on the road and hit 20 states.
That's a lot of states.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of the country.
Yeah. It was.
I wonder how many
really cool.
miles you did. That's insane.
When I first left, I mean, now I'm at 113,000, but
And that's accurate real time
yeah,
in the truck
as
happening.
we sit here, as I look at this speedometer. But I think I did I left at 70 or 80, and I came back like a little bit over 100, I think.
Okay.
So definitely a lot.
It's a lot of miles.
A lot of miles.
Yeah. I'm curious, what inspired you to pick the orange color in the trailer? Was it from the book?
No, actually.
Oh.
But now that I think about it, yeah, she orange is her color. No, I just gravitate towards that color. Everyone in my life will tell you that like shades and hues of oranges and yellows are just kind of my vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like okay to say, but like my bong is that color. Like everything.
You can say whatever you want. This is a safe space.
Everything I have is just like that shade of like hue, like that burnt rustic orange.
As you're wearing like the rustic, like
Yeah.
gold colored
Yeah.
shirt. Yeah.
I love that color. So yeah, that's kind of what chose it, and it just sparked so much joy, and it clashed really well with the like dark emerald green peel and stick tiles that I used as a black splash in there.
Ooh.
And yeah, and then the terrazzo floors were also obviously peel and stick, but they were like white with shades of oranges and pinks like splattered on them, so it kind of pulled in all the colors in there.
What made you decide to go with the trailer? You had a huge trailer, right? Like 24 feet
Yeah.
on a truck.
Yeah.
That is a lot to move around. What made you go that route?
So I heavily weighed the options of like van life versus trailer versus RV versus like camper truck thing. Like there were so many options when you first decide that you want to be nomadic, and like really taking the time to sit down and do the research and weigh the pros and cons of each option like cannot be overstated. It's so important. And even having done what I consider to be a decent amount of research, I still think if I were to do it again, I would maybe do something different. But initially I chose the trailer because I wanted to be able to leave my home behind in certain situations. As you know, finding a spot to camp / park / sleep for the night is like half the battle, if not more so. So
whole day's work just
yeah.
to sleep.
It's like hours of like mental work. So I liked the idea of being able to like drop the trailer in a spot and then take the truck out and explore elsewhere. So that's kind of what I went with. Plus, I did not grow up in an outdoorsy environment, so I'm like the outlier of my family in what I've done here. Like my mom has never been camping a day in her life. So I was nervous that I would really miss the amenities of like a shower and a toilet and stuff. And so that was also a big factor in why I got the Coleman lantern. So yeah, but now after having done that, I feel like if I were to do that again, would probably get a truck camper that sits just on the bed of the truck. It has the same kind of amenities, definitely no shower, but you could do a composting toilet, but you can also drop it and leave it, but you also aren't towing it behind. It sits right on the bed of the truck, so it's easier to maneuver in parking spots, and if you want to like stealth camp in a city, like it's easier to do with that. Obviously you can't stealth camp with a 20-foot trailer.
Yeah,
so,
they know you're there.
Yeah, so yeah, that was maybe next time around I would do that, which is also like downsizing. I realized that I could downsize significantly. I purchased this truck tent that I have, and now that's been my go-to all summer. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so you've really gone from like almost one end of the spectrum, like completely to the other one.
Yeah. Now I'm like, who needs a shower? Who needs a toilet? I can just squat.
I will say I love my compost, but yeah, I could squat. If I parked more places where I thought I could just take care of all my business and just squat, like I would consider it, but I do love it. The other day I was actually in the national park and the line for the bathroom was insane. And I was like, what am I doing? I have a compost toilet.
Yes.
Like, this is insane. I'm wasting my time.
What a privilege it is. I've definitely been in situations like that where I'm like on the highway and there's nowhere to stop for miles. So I just pull over and hop in the trailer and go and then get back in the truck.
Honestly, I'm sure that day will come for me. It hasn't yet, but it's there. But I think, like, where I started before I even got on the road full time, I was in my Subaru, and I remember, like, literally, you know, shoveling in the forest, like, just dropping it right there.
Makes you definitely appreciate the little things.
I also love hearing how everyone's mentality when they get on the road, as far as like the rig they decide, the setup they decide, and then how it changes,
how
right?
it actually ends up.
Right. I feel like your change also shows so much growth, right? You're like talking about how like in the beginning, like I'm the outlier, I never was outdoorsy, and now you're like, I would squat in the woods. I have a tent on the back of my truck.
Like... So true. Wow, yeah. what a character growth.
Nothing like character building than living on the road.
So true.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier too.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? We were talking about character building. Oh, it was probably something relating to pooping, honestly.
For real. Limited resources. Could be anything. Anything about being on the road is character building, in my opinion.
Yeah. As we sit here without sun for 2 days, like, I don't have enough solar to turn on my oven. I'm out of soup.
Something's broken. You're like, well, I guess I'll just go without heat or whatever.
Literally cannot get out the side of my door right now. But it's still privilege for a lot of people, right? And the privilege to, like, be on the road by choice is definitely
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Something. Yeah. So lucky there.
I'm so curious, like, how has mental health impacted your nomadic journey?
Yeah, so I was in steady therapy every Thursday when I first hit the road. I was, I think, seeing the same therapist for about a year at that point, and we really enjoyed, like, our sessions, had a great rapport, very open and honest communication. She was young-ish as well, like, I think 2 or 3 years older than me at the time, and so I felt like she could really relate and connect. But I'm born and raised in Massachusetts, so I was seeing a Massachusetts therapist. Once I hit the road, even though my insurance covered it, they no longer took my insurance, so I had to pay out of pocket once I started driving, and I figured I would need a therapist on the road because I knew I was going to get lonely. I'm a super social person, and I, like, thrive off of quality time with people that I care about. So I knew that I was going to be a little tough, but my copay went from $25 to $125. So I had to significantly scale back. So we ended up doing, like, every other week, and then it was like every 2 weeks, and then eventually, and I don't, you know, I'm sure everyone kind of gets to this point in therapy. Maybe you can talk to it from both sides of it, but it's like you get to a point where you just feel like everything's good and great, and so you're like, I don't even really need this anymore, and I'm spending $125 on it, so I don't know if it's worth it. Like, I'm living out my dream. Everything's going great on the trailer. Yeah, so I think a couple months in, stopped going to therapy, definitely for financial reasons, but I also felt like I didn't need it necessarily. And then, you know, by like month 4 or 5, I was like, oh boy, I really need to go back to therapy. There's just, I mean, you obviously make connections and friends and stuff, and the people from home are still there. They're still there to talk to. They'll call you all the time to check in. You can call them. But simply being alone is like, it takes a toll.
Definitely. You're still alone, doing it feels things. So alone sometimes. Like, you're in the middle of the forest. There's not a street light. There's no service. Like, it feels like a different type of being alone than I think a lot of folks realize.
And I think there's, like, that moment when you're somewhere beautiful or new and you're like, oh my gosh, this is everything I wanted it to be. But you turn and there's just no one there to, like, share it with necessarily. Like, even if it's a friend being like, holy crap, look at that view. Like, anything, you know? Those little interactions, I think I missed those a lot. And I also felt like taking this trip also aligned with about a year since the decision I made to not be on hormonal birth control anymore. And so I was also experiencing my body for the first time, like unfiltered kind of. And so my emotions were a lot stronger, and like period symptoms were definitely stronger, but just like every emotion, like anger, sadness, excitement, everything just felt 10 times more strong than I had been used to feeling it for like the 10 years prior to that, because I'd been on birth control for so long. So yeah, it was an interesting, there were so many things happening mental health wise. Like I was finding myself, finding the things that brought me joy. I was pushing myself to boundaries, like trying to prove to myself that I was strong enough to do things. I was learning just about myself in general. So it was a big time, expansive of the mind, I would say that whole journey was. But yeah, it helped to have relationships that I could always call on home, even though I wasn't there physically. I could always call my sister or my mom or whoever to help me get it through. But yeah, mental health is so serious on the road, and you also feel like you're possibly letting other people down if you need to take a break from it. And it's like that, it's
being
okay
on the road.
Yeah, like that was a feeling I had a lot, where I was like, I need to stay in a hotel for this weekend. I simply can't do it. Like I'm really stressed out about where my next water source is gonna be, and like where I can dump my poop and filling up the propane tank or the generator. All of those things take a mental toll to think about constantly. So sometimes you need to take a break.
Yeah, and I hear that what you just said, this idea of it's perceived to you that you're letting people down by taking this time
or like
for
you
yourself.
failed at the thing that you tried to do because you need to step back from it.
Yeah, like
which
that
is not true
time.
at all. But
it's not. Yeah. Like you just need the time to regroup. And honestly, we're living our lives for ourselves, right? So at the end of the day, if you do get off the road, if you decide you don't like it, if you decide you don't want it, you have the autonomy to make that decision. But I echo that. It seems like there's like this social pressure once you've started where everyone's like, oh, you're the person out there doing this wild thing, so you have to keep doing wild things. And I'm like, I just want to know I have water in the next 1,000 miles. And I think that can be tough for people to really get their minds around of like, I need some level of stability. Like I need to know I can take a shower. I need to know there's a laundry machine downstairs.
Routine is hard to keep on the road. It's so hard.
And you just hit on so many just amazing topics. Honestly, no, I love it.
Sometimes I just like word vomit once I start talking too, so
it's perfect.
Stop me at any time.
It's perfect. I wanted to loop back to something you said earlier about, you know, you're doing great in therapy. You feel like you don't like really like even need it because you're out here like living your lives. And I will say that is like a shared experience with a lot of folks, especially when the season changes, right? We were talking about it earlier. So many therapists, I don't think people realize, have second jobs because during the summer, a lot of folks are like feeling bad. And obviously not everyone, but there's
no
a good
idea
group
that
of
it was
people.
like that. No idea.
Oh yeah. I have friends that are therapists still that are, you know, driving Ubers and doing Instacart in the summer because the sun is out, the vibes are good, and then, you know, the leaves fall off the trees and all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm still somebody who manages depression on a regular basis
I still have
or
big
whatever it is
that I need help with.
And I used to always tell folks, like, if you can, like, find a therapist who you vibe with. And I wish people listening to this could have seen how much I was smiling and nodding. We were talking about you and your therapist and, like, this great dynamic you have. I was like, oh, look at that rapport building. Look at that trust. We love it. And then, like, when you're feeling good, like, doing that monthly check-in. So this way, when the feelings come back and they're feeling really intense, like, you have that rapport already built. But it's not easy or accessible for everyone, right? When you're talking about like $125 a session, when you add all that up, that's a lot. Like that's a lot of money for some people. That's what they're bringing in a month.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough. Like I've had like a stable corporate job for a long time. That's always been fully remote. So I had the ability to do this and live out my dream while making a stable paycheck every 2 weeks, and still on top of that, like I still was struggling financially, like the gas guzzling, and like one time in California gas was like $7. I was just like, I can't do this.
So I'm curious, did you notice any difference in how you were experiencing your mental health between like when you got on the road and while you were on the road?
100%. So when I first got on the road, I was thinking I was going to save so much money.
I thought that too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to pay off this trailer this brand new trailer. I have a monthly payment of like, I bought it in 2023 and it was a 2023 model, like brand spanking new off the lot. So I'm paying like $230 a month, I think, for this trailer still to this day. But in my head, I'm like, oh, within a year of living in the trailer, I will be able to pay it off. Like, no problem. I think I was making like $75,000 a year. That was my salary, which sounds like a lot, but with student loans and like the insurance for the trailer, the insurance for the truck monthly payment, pet insurance, groceries, gas, propane, occasionally paying for water at a campsite or a dump station, just like all those things started to add up. And I'm not saying that like it's not possible to save money on the road. I'm sure it is, and maybe it was just my poor planning. But a lot of my stops were kind of centered around different friends from home coming to visit. So I would be like in Utah but need to be in Texas in a week. So I was booking it. I was driving like 15-hour days, like every day. So I think I was just driving too much. There was no way I was going to save money because gas was going to wipe me out.
Yeah, that is
which
quick
is
travel.
I was super so my mental health definitely changed because I had been in a really stable place money-wise, like pretty much my entire adulthood after college. Once I like got a job and moved out of my parents' home and had different apartments with friends and stuff, though I wasn't like super comfortable, I was never like getting in the negatives in my bank account. And then all of a sudden I was getting close and I was like, oh my gosh, like where did all my money go? So that definitely affected my mental health a lot as well, because unfortunately we all need money to live, and so not having a secure nest egg is definitely
Was finances like your biggest part of concern as far as the impact on your mental health on the road? I know you talked a little bit about loneliness too. So it's the loneliness, the finances.
I think that was kind of the two things, was like the loneliness and the finances. And then also I was in a time in my life, at that point I was 27, like a bunch of my friends were getting engaged and married. And so I had 4 weddings that I needed to come back to the East Coast for, and a bachelorette party that I needed to fly to Florida for from Arizona. Like, so though I was traveling, I was maybe trying too hard to still be integrated into all the things happening in my friends and family. And so like I call it FOMO maybe, but like I couldn't say no to these weddings. I couldn't say no to the bachelorette. Like, not that I couldn't. I probably could, but I didn't really want to. And so, like, I think I was still trying to satisfy, like, being a present, like, friend and family member in the Northeast while trying to also do things, for myself. And then I think, like, my mental health at the beginning was also a little tied to like my familial relationships. My mother ended up getting brain surgery in April, and it was a month after I had left, and I, as the older sister and like first child, I definitely have like a caretaker role, and so to not be there while my mom was getting brain surgery seemed like, selfish and terrible of me and stuff. And so my therapist at the time helped me come to terms with that. So
I'm loving your therapist. For
yeah,
like
she was like,
whole conversation.
I remember one thing she said that it was just like shocked me, where I was just like, I feel so selfish doing this, blah blah blah, and she was like, is being selfish a bad thing? And I was like, oh, interesting. Interesting way to put that. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many aspects that can affect mental health, and you're really testing yourself when you take on the challenge of being nomadic, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious, how confident did you feel going into the nomadic world when you were first starting this journey?
I was very aware going into it that things were going to go wrong at some point. Yeah. Like, I wasn't naive about it. I spent plenty of time on YouTube and on Instagram and on all the different blogs and like Facebook groups, and I knew that things were going to break and like stuff like that was going to happen, and I was going to have to figure it out. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I still felt confident because I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. So I knew that whatever challenge happened, I was just going to have to take it as it came, and I would learn from there. And I actually feel, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was like a misled confidence on that. I still felt that for sure. I was definitely just very wrong about the financial aspects of it all. Truthfully, if I didn't have like I said, I came home in September of 2024, and between September and November I had 4 weddings, and I was also broke from all the traveling, and I was starting to get really stressed out, and I was in not so great a place with my like semi partner. It was like an on off again relationship for quite some time, and we had just started couples therapy right before I left, so we had like 2 months of couples therapy, and then I was leaving and I couldn't keep up with it because I wasn't going to be in the same state anymore, and so it had a big effect on that as well. So I think that also played into it. But definitely like the pressures of relationships, not just like romantic, but like familial and platonic as well, those pressures I think do take a toll on the mental health too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been seeing me nod a lot just because I'm hearing what you're saying about like the weddings. And I remember like I was doing my van build, and 2 of my friends got married like back to back, and I also had to empty my apartment back in the city, and I was driving the whole East Coast. I was building my van in Florida, and then my friends were getting married in Philadelphia, so I'm doing almost the whole coast. I hit like 3 times during my van build, and I was like, this is exhaustive. You know, it's exhaustive enough building a house and mentally preparing for like, what that nomadic life looks like, but then also all of these major things happening in other people's lives that you want to be a part of, and kind of feeling that like pull.
Yes. Yep. For sure.
How do you navigate your connection with yourself, your connection with others? How do you navigate that now or when you're on the road?
Yeah. On the road, it was definitely a lot of just trying to connect in any way, whether that was like sending memes on social media or just quickly calling someone while I'm doing a 10-hour drive, like just making sure to be active in that connection, making sure that you're putting in a little bit of effort to at least maintain that connection. So that was super important, and I am so fortunate. I have such an incredible like group of friends and family members. They were so excited for me. They supported me, like they checked in on me all the time. It's just so important to lean into that, because I find that I tend to retreat as soon as I start to feel glum. I will lock myself away and say no to plans, and like I don't want to talk to anyone or respond to any messages. Like I really isolate, which is not the right thing to do for me anyway, to move through those emotions. It's just I like to wallow in my own little issues.
I love that self-awareness you have right there. You're like, I know this is what I
Yeah.
do. I know this is the pattern. I know this is a maladaptive way to handle it, and you have to go the other way with it.
Yeah,
Like,
I have to
reach out.
really push myself. And
and that can be difficult. Like when you're in it, it's
Yeah.
like really to be like, all right, this is what I should do. That's a cute list.
And
I don't want to do anything there.
Yeah, and that's what was happening towards the end. And I could also kind of see it in the way I was using my vices as well. When I first got on the road, I was like not drinking really, and I was intending not to drink at all during my travels because I felt like it wouldn't be safe, like drinking in places I don't know, and like that sort of thing. I'm an avid weed smoker, so I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like driving from state to state. Are people going to check like borders and stuff? You know, I wasn't sure. So I was like going into it thinking like, oh, I'm going to be so healthy. I'm going to wake up every morning in a new beautiful woods and do some yoga and then have a great day. And then like by the end of it, I was like in a desert in Arizona, and it was 120 degrees, and I'm buying bottles of wine at the gas station and just locking myself in and like just having a terrible time. So I was like, okay, it's time to like, I need to go home. I need to recharge. I need to figure out what I want to do next. So yeah, the leaning on family and friends, like I was like, okay, I need to be around my family now. I need to see my mom. I need to see my sister. I need to be around my people, and it surely did rejuvenate me. It was amazing. I was so happy to come home. I missed everyone so much. And it was nice that I had all those weddings and things, because it was a good way to see everyone again after being gone for 6 months. Yeah, familial and platonic and romantic, all relationships are so important. Like even even now I've been stationary in Maine for 9 months, and like I moved to a place where I know nobody, so it's not like I have like just random friends to reach out to, but just being a part of the community and taking my dog around the same like walking paths all the time, and meeting the nice man Bob who gives him a treat every morning, like it's just those types of, you can't I guess call them relationships, but acquaintances or interactions, like that really like makes you feel like you're part of a community. Like he knows my name, I know his name, he knows my dog's name, like we're not best friends, but we say good morning every day kind of thing, and that also feels like grounding in a sense. So I think that like I really needed the relationships to ground me, which was super beneficial when I came home finally.
I'm hearing that like, the people you surround yourself with are grounding, and I'm also hearing like a bit of that routine, right? Like I take the dog here, we do this, we see these people, and earlier you mentioned that like it was really difficult to have that when you were on the road.
Especially with work. So I said, I was fortunate enough to keep my regular 9 to 5 corporate girly job, but it was 9 to 5 Boston hours. So like in Arizona it was 6 to 3 or 6 to 2 or whatever. So like I was also, the more I traveled, the different time, like my days changed so much. Hard to keep a routine for sure.
How did your relationship with yourself change during that experience? Because I'm hearing all of these different aspects as you're sharing, this confidence going into it, the like utilizing the vices towards the end of it, and also just that confidence you had in yourself during the whole thing. I was realistic about what I was getting into, and it was a challenge.
It taught me that like I can thrive alone, and I do like to be alone to a certain extent. I was always like, throughout college and high school and stuff, and obviously you have ideas of what it'll be like when you're an older adult, when you're young, and they're always wrong. But I used to be like, I could never live by myself, like I'm gonna have to go from like having roommates to getting married right away or something, and then somewhere along the line I stopped believing in marriage for like a quick few years, and I was like, I'll just live with my best friends forever, and I'll always have roommates. And doing this, I think, really proved to myself and showed myself that I didn't know, that I can thrive alone, and being alone is powerful, and it's relaxing, and it's also, it can be so many things. It's just important to like kind of strike that balance, obviously. But like I live alone now in Maine, and I love my apartment, and it's me and my dog, and I could not be happier. So I definitely learned a lot about myself, and it's fun to learn how to do new things. And this is probably going to sound so trivial, but learning how to fix specific things with my car, or learning what not to do with my car, which I had some really scary encounters with, my brakes going out because I didn't know that my car had gears.
There's a story there.
Okay, so I was on 9 Mile Canyon Road in California, and it was steep, and it was a canyon, and it's hot, it's a desert, and I'm towing my trailer down from the top of the canyon. Like, I was camped in like the woods the day before, and I was driving down the canyon to get back down to the main highway to drive to San Diego. That was the plan. And then from there drive to Arizona. And I was coming down this canyon road, and I noticed that like my gas pedal was a little loose, and I was like, weird. So we're just like going down this canyon for 9 miles, and towards like the last couple of miles I realized that the brakes were just not like doing anything at all. Like they were just going straight to the ground. There was no resistance. It was just a loose pedal.
It's like my nightmare right now.
It was horrible. And I'm flying down a canyon road, like steep grades, like, and I have a 4,000-pound trailer on the back of my truck. I've got my dog in here. Like, it's a drop into like a canyon. Like, you are done if you end up on the other side. And there was this one turn, like through, it was like a curve, and I almost hit an oncoming car because I couldn't stop. And then eventually it flattened out, and luckily because it was the desert, there was just miles and miles of desert, so I just drove into the desert until I eventually hit like a sand dune, and my whole rig stopped, and that was it. But it was like the scariest probably like 10 minutes of my life. Just unable to stop at all. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill myself and my brand new dog. Like it was very scary. But now I know that even automatic vehicles have gears.
They do.
And you can switch the gears so that you don't cook your brakes like I did. Completely evaporated all the brake fluid. Like there's nothing there. This was another, cost me $5,000, if not a little bit more, in repairs to the truck. And first they told me they'd have it fixed by Friday, and then they couldn't fix it by Friday, and I said, will it be done on Saturday? And they said, oh, we're closed on the weekend, we'll try again on Monday. And I was like, well, I need to be in Arizona by Monday. It was just a whole stressful situation, and I did not have $5,000 extra to fix the truck. That's a lot of
money.
I am so like thankful and blessed to have the parents that I have, where I could call them sobbing on the side of the road and like be like, I can't pay for this, can I have help? And they helped me out. I'm so lucky for that, and I recognize the privilege there, but I was screwed, and there was no way that I could have my truck back. And so I called AAA while I was in the desert, and it turns out my AAA membership only tows the truck, so I had to leave the trailer in the middle of the desert and just hope that nobody did anything to it.
It's like your whole house.
My whole house.
My
whole house.
Just in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And then you're leaving in a truck that doesn't run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it just like,
and then I'm
really
like, hey, can I bring my dog in the AAA tow vehicle? And they're like, yeah, sure, it's fine. Like, just all these little things that you don't think about when you're just living your day-to-day life, like stationary in a house, you know?
Right. Yeah. But you break down in the desert, you think about it.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely very scary, but if anyone learns anything from this podcast, your automatic vehicle has gears. If you're towing a boat or a trailer or anything behind and you're going down a steep grade, switch your gears. Yeah, public PSA there.
I love that. Speaking of, it wasn't until like a couple of years ago, one of my old partners was telling me about the whole Today I Learned, like a whole subreddit, and I had never heard of it. And he's like, it's just these things you live your whole life just assuming is common knowledge, and it's not. Yeah. Like when me and you met and we're around the fire, and our friend had made this amazing food, and I learned that you can eat the tail of a shrimp, and I was like, no way. And I don't know what I thought would happen if you ate a shrimp tail, but I've never eaten one.
That's so true.
It's like, today I learned
it's edible.
Right. Which other people have apparently known their whole lives. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. My parents didn't know about the gear thing either, so that did make me feel a little bit better.
That's probably why you didn't know.
Yeah, this truck, I bought this truck from my stepdad. It was his truck.
And he's never switched
and he didn't know. Yeah, so like, it was nobody's fault. It was just ignorance all around. But now we know.
Now you know.
We were lucky enough to live and learn. Almost didn't live, but it's okay, we did.
You did. You made it, and I'm really grateful you made it.
I'm really grateful too. You know what? One thing, and I'm sorry, this is probably just a tangent, and
I love a good tangent. Let's do it. I'm here for the spice.
But I was also expecting, like, in terms of missed expectations, the community that I've found in you and in like the queer van life group in the East Coast, I was expecting to find more nomadic community during my travels. And I don't know if I just wasn't staying in the right place or, I don't know what that was about. But, like, I definitely made I made really cool acquaintances and I met a lot of cool and kind and generous people. Yeah. But I didn't meet a ton of, like, people around my own age doing what I was doing and, like, wanting to caravan or check out things together. Like, and maybe I didn't put myself out there enough. Maybe I wasn't on the right, like, social media platforms or group texts or whatever. But that was one thing that I was slightly disappointed in because I felt like I was seeing a lot of these Instagram influencers, like, finding each other in different places and then meeting up and, like, doing stuff. And I'm sure to a certain extent, like, the influencers I had been following are, like, you know, the bigger ones with thousands and thousands and sponsorships and stuff. And so maybe to a certain degree it was, like, coordinated on purpose. But yeah, I guess I was just thinking I was going to meet more like nomadic people. I met a lot of people who were from the areas that I was in, which was great. And I was invited into homes, and like old people cooked me dinner, and it was really nice. But definitely not not like a youth environment. All of the places I was camping had a lot of older folks at them. Yeah.
It sounds like you, if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like you found a lot of the community you were kind of looking for on the road in that queer outdoorsy community of Maine.
Yeah, definitely, actually. Which I feel like we should talk about how we met.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to tell the story?
Sure. So picture this, 4th of July.
I love the intro. We're bringing you into the scene.
It's the 4th of July in Maine. In western Maine?
Yeah, we were in the Bigelow
lake?
Preserve.
Yes, the Bigelow Preserve land.
The Bigelow Preserve land, yeah.
Don't want to blow it up, but it's definitely a good camping spot.
Yeah. It is public land.
It is public
so it
land.
is. Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're like.
Yeah, it's public free land. Just don't all flock there at once.
And take your
treat
shit
it well.
out with you.
Yeah, treat it well. Carry in, carry out. I know I feel like there is also kind of like an air of secrecy among like the big social media nomads, because it's like they don't ever share where they are because they don't want people to, trash it and overrun it. And I totally get that.
Yeah, I will say it's amazing how many times I'm at a spot and I see locals like with local license plates littering, and I'm like, I want to start leaving signs like, from your friendly nomad, do better. Yeah. But anyway, we're losing the scene.
Yes.
So it's 4th of July weekend.
4th of July.
We're in this public land. We're on the lake.
And I pull in looking for a spot to pull in and camp for the night. It's just me and my dog, and it was a very last minute camping excursion. It was my first camping trip in Maine since I moved here, and I was excited. So I pull in, and there's a white van kind of like near the like the trail sign that said, "This is where you are," and like, "This is where the camp is." And I just hopped out and said, "Hey, excuse me, are there any spots around here?" And the friendliest person came out and assumed that I was there for their group. And I was like, I could be. Yeah, I mean, fast forward to B being one of the sweetest, kindest, nicest strangers I've ever met in the woods.
Oh my gosh.
I later decided to camp just around the corner from them. And yeah, and we're soon joined by so many other amazing, kind people that I feel fortunate to have met. And it was funny that the nomadic community I was looking for the whole time was right here.
Yeah. Right, you just have to talk to a random person in a van. It's like all the connections are made in a van in the woods. I don't know what our parents were thinking when they were like, don't wander into the woods. Don't talk to strangers in vans, especially.
Oh, wait, this is also a tangent, but when you started telling people you're going nomadic, did you always get that SNL joke about like Chris Farley or something, I think, and it's like down by the river in the van kind of thing?
Yeah, literally.
Every time I talked to somebody over the age of like 30, they were like, "Oh," and they would reference this SNL joke. Finally, I had to look it up. Sorry if it offends people that I didn't know what it was, but yeah, I always got that joke.
Yeah, that was such a great weekend to have you there, and like everyone to just come together in that space was so amazing. That was such a great weekend. I'm so glad that I decided to host that event. I almost didn't, because I was nervous. I had never hosted an event. I was nervous before when I've gone to events. And I think that that's something like we should talk about more in general, is like, just because you're doing things doesn't mean you're not doing it scared, right? I think I have all of my best moments after doing the thing that scares me the most. And I have felt that with every festival I've gone to, every gathering. And like while I'm there and I'm talking to people, I realize it's a shared experience. I think every gathering I've been to of nomad people, of queer people, of whatever it is, there's always this conversation of like, oh, you know how anxious I was before I got here? I almost turned around so many times. And then the people who like can really work through that and show up in the space end up always having such a good time.
Yeah, you have to just do it scared.
Do it scared, honestly, yeah. That's like so much of my nomadic journey right now. It's like, I'm gonna keep doing shit that scares me. Honestly,
I think that as we get older, fear is just a part of it, and we just have to live with it. Like, not shun it, just listen to it, see what it's trying to teach us, what are we fearing, maybe let's pay extra attention to that, but like, you can't let it stop you. You seriously can't let it stop you.
That's how you get stagnant.
Anything.
And you see that so much where folks are just stagnant in life. They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of the next step.
They're afraid of risks. Yeah, you
they're
have
living
to
in that what if.
Have to take that step. And like, the worst possible thing that can happen is it doesn't work out, and then you move on to the next thing that you were interested in doing, or you learn something from it, and then you can try again with more information. Like, I mean, obviously it's easier said than done.
None of this is easy. Like, none of this is easy.
Not claiming to have figured it out by any means, but you really just have to, like, go balls to the wall and do it.
You have to trust in yourself, and I think that's what's really hard, because I think it's unrealistic to think that, like, oh, well, the universe will always provide, right? Because the universe does definitely provide and definitely does support you, but the reality is that at the end of the day, do I believe that I have the tools to manage this situation, right? And I think often what happens is when we ask ourselves, well, what's the worst situation? Do I think I can manage that? Like, worry, anxiety, all of these things come up, and then all of a sudden the worst case scenario gets so blown out of proportion, so blown out of what is realistic, right? But at the end of the day, it's, do I believe in myself enough to manage the situation?
100%.
And to build that trust in yourself, you have to be in those situations. You have to, like, continuously show yourself that you can, in fact, do it.
I was recently asked, like, how I'm so confident and how I just believe that everything is going to be okay no matter what. And, like, of course, I think it probably has to do with the way I was raised. Shout out, Mom. Thank you. You did a great job.
Love it.
But I feel like I know that whatever situation I find myself in, I will make sure that I'm okay, you know? And, like, I have full faith and trust in myself that, like, I am okay and will be okay, and I can do whatever I need to do to make sure that that's the case. And, like, maybe this helps with the whole nomadic thing, but I feel like I am the home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm where my home isn't wherever I'm parked or wherever my family is living. Like, I moved like 15 times in my childhood. It's not like I had one home that I was in my whole life. So, like, I feel like who I am and who I'm with is home, and so I can make that and find that anywhere. But I kind of feel like that applies to just my general outtake on life. Like, no matter what happens, I mean, barring death, I have to wake up tomorrow and live my life. Like, even if the worst possible scenario happens, I'm still going to wake up tomorrow and have to figure it out one way or the other. So I just have that faith that, like, it will be okay. And maybe it is faith. And, which is funny because I'm not very religious, but I can have faith in myself and in my circumstance and in my own abilities and feel confident that I can figure it out.
And that takes so much to learn, I think, for folk, because you really do have to be building that. You have to be pushing past the fear and putting yourself in those situations that scare you, so this way you can show yourself that you can really show up for yourself, that you're capable of handling yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, we really only have ourselves, right? Like, we're surrounded by community, but at the end of the day, right, you wake up in your head, you go to bed in your head, you're with your thoughts all day, right? So the way you talk to yourself really matters, right? And even if you're saying it and you don't fully believe it yet, just saying that to yourself, I can handle this situation, it does help, right? I always try to remind people, like, when we're talking about things like self-talk, what we're really doing is we are exercising our brain to work in a different way. We are really retraining our brains. That is no small thing. Right. Like, that is insane. We're basically, like, picking an organ in our body and going, I'm going to talk to you until you work different. Right? Like,
do
conceptually.
What I tell you.
Do what I tell you. Right? I always think, too, about the idea that without fear, there wouldn't be bravery. To be brave, it has to come from a place of fear. So I think about that too, and just how we interact with our emotions. We're often told that whatever emotion it is, there's a social construct with it, right? We talked about earlier, like, the idea of selfishness. Is selfishness bad? Like, is it bad to be selfish? Who taught us that?
Why do we think that? It's our lives. Is it bad to be selfish? We are the ones who have to deal with whatever the repercussions are of said choice or decision or action. So, at the end of the day, it's, like, your life that you have to live. You're the one who's going to die someday. How do you want to do it?
And I think everyone has a different gauge of what even qualifies as selfish. What's fearful to somebody else might not even be a blimp on somebody else's radar. So it's
100%.
all based on you and how you're viewing the world. And then how did you get those messages? And do you still align with them? Like, now that you're an adult and you have the ability to make these decisions for yourself, you really are the person who has to sit with, do I think fear is a bad thing? Or have I always been told fear is a bad thing? Right?
Your 20s are such a crazy time too.
Oh,
like
gosh, yeah.
just in general to like, you know, decolonize your brain and like reconstruct everything, and just do some inner work, because you really like, you could wake up one day like at 29, 30 years old and realize that you've lived your entire life for other people and not for yourself. And that is something that I never want to have a regret of in my life. And I'm not saying like don't be considerate of the people you love's feelings. Like, obviously, be a good person, be a respectful person, but like, it is your life, and ultimately, by the time you're 30, realistically, you only probably have maybe 40 years left, maybe 50. I think life expectancy in this country is like 75. Like, it's really not that high.
It's not great.
We don't have a ton of time when we're alive, you know? We really don't.
Yeah.
It seems like we do. And so I feel like being in your 20s and like your late 20s is the perfect time to really start to figure out how to live your life for yourself and like really capitalize on that. Like, hopefully, you know, you're maybe a little bit more stable, and I'm obviously not in the nomadic sphere, but it's just the good time to start and try and live life for what you really want and be a little more introspective. And how does this make me feel? Why do I feel this way? What is this trying to show me? What is this emotion trying to show me? Kind of thing.
Oh, I love that. What is this emotion trying to show me? That's such a great question to ask yourself, right? Like, okay, I'm experiencing fear. What is the fear trying to tell me? Like, oftentimes it's trying to keep you safe, right? So, like, something I really love to do is talk to it directly. If I'm really fearful of something, I'll be, okay, I hear you. I logically understand why this could be like a fearful situation. I'm capable of managing this. I have these safety nets in place if things don't go the way I planned for them to go, and I can manage the situation in front of me. And like really having those conversations with myself. There's also the empty chair technique. You can act like that emotion is sitting in a chair across from you, and you can have that conversation out loud with that emotion. And while it might feel silly initially, it's like the value of that is substantial. So everyone has to just find what works for them. Are you having the conversation in your head? Are you doing it with an empty chair? Are you journaling it out? Like, are you writing a song about it? Like, how are you working through it? But like, you have to be working through it. Like you said, it's you and your life. You don't have as much time as you think you do here.
I found that like a couple years ago, I heard someone somewhere say something about like really trying to see what the emotion is trying to tell you. If I'm feeling like anger or jealousy or something, I'm like, okay, if I'm jealous at seeing this person post this thing, like, why am I jealous? Like, does it mean that I want what they have? What do I value and what they have? Why do I feel this way? And then you kind of asking yourself these questions and really getting to the root of what's causing this feeling.
Working backwards.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. Is I work backwards and try to identify it.
Oh yeah. It's a great thing to do. That's one of my favorites, honestly, is working backwards. I was actually talking to Lily about this, who was on the first episode. I was talking to her about how, like, I had said something that felt so out of place in my mouth, but so familiar in my head. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I don't like what I just said. It came out so naturally, though. And I was, like, really, like, trying to figure it out. And I was, like, you know, sitting with it for a while. And I was like, okay, when do I remember thinking this for the first time? When do I remember hearing it? And I realized it was actually something my mom used to say when I was younger. And I was like, oh, my God, that's why it felt so familiar. Even though it's not language that I would usually use, it was just that familiarity with it. And I'm really grateful to have the skill set that my brain went like full stop of like, whoa, this isn't normal. Let's take a pause. Let's take a beat right now and figure this out. And doing that, working backwards, and then thinking like, okay, do I align with that? How do I feel about the language that I just used? Does this feel okay for me? And if not, what am I gonna do to make sure this doesn't become a habit? You know?
Really, it's, you know, our families, they like do their very best, obviously, with what they can at the time. But it is still important to, as you get older, like, take a step back and reflect. And, like, just because your family did something one way doesn't mean it's the only way or the right way or the way that works best for you as an adult. And you try to break those patterns and, those generational patterns are so strong, right? They're literally in your genetics. They're in your head. They're in your habits. Generational trauma is like in your DNA. Like it's in there. It's in your bones. Like
it is. The that doesn't mean that it can't be worked through, it can't be
Exactly.
processed, it can't be
And it's
healed.
like what we were talking about earlier, where at a certain point, no matter what trauma or terrible thing happened to you, like at a certain point in your adult life, it now becomes your responsibility, unfortunately, to heal that trauma and to work through that. You can just like sit and be mad at the whole time at your family for whatever, but really like now it's on you to fix it. You can sit in it and just be that person then if you want to, but if you want to have a different life, then you need to, look in the mirror and fix it.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to do, obviously. Yeah.
And with that, like, we have, like, the power to forgive ourselves, right? Like, you can forgive yourself for what you did to survive. And that's how these maladaptive coping skills come to be. It's like, when we're younger, we don't have the resources, we don't have the accessibility, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the frontal lobe.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even fully up and running at that point. Yeah. So what we do is we look for anything that can help, any vice, and these become like these maladaptive skills, right? So then when you get older, you can recognize and start replacing them, right? Of like, oh, okay, I used to do X, Y, and Z, and it helped me get through it. It helped me get to my adulthood. And now I'm here, and I can look at things differently. I can take that step back, and I can replace it. And that can take years, like years of work, and really being vulnerable. I think healing is a really vulnerable experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is true bravery as well. Like, I think that the act of that, of taking a step back, recognizing your own patterns, and trying to deconstruct them and figure out if that's how you want to behave, if it's not how you want to behave, and how you want to make changes moving forward. Like, being willing to change and heal and relearn things, like, to me, that is the ultimate bravery.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're stepping into the unknown, you're letting go of all the things that you thought you knew. Like, that's a huge strength to me.
You're showing up for yourself, right? We're building that trust in ourselves that we were talking about earlier. It's like that it takes bravery to do that. Oof. Yeah, lightning's just striking in the background. I think the universe is agreeing with us. Is there a piece of advice you got around mental health that you feel has really benefited you?
One of the biggest things that my therapist left in me, I guess, when we parted ways, was that two things can be true at once.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love that so deeply. It's one of my favorite things to tell people.
Yeah, two things can be true at once. It's obviously this whole, if you're from the United States of America, I feel like there's a whole dichotomy of everything. Like, everything has a specific name and label, and it's this or that. It's black or white. There's no in between, yes or no. It's just so feeling like more than one emotion can be so tricky, because you're like, I'm so angry, or I'm so this, or I'm so that, or I'm so happy, but I'm also so sad. And it's like, you're like, wait a minute, I can't be both. That's not possible. But like, that's where the humanity comes in, and the nuance in between things. Like, it's, so I think something that I do tell myself often when I'm struggling is like, two things can be true at once, and that is okay. And like, sitting with that a little bit. That was probably like the biggest takeaway from all my time in therapy.
I absolutely love that. I'm just shouting out to your therapist, like, through this whole show. I love that so much. I used to run a women's trauma IOP group, and I would tell this to folks all of the time. And then, we would have newer folks coming into the group and people who were about to step down into outpatient. And sometimes somebody would share, and somebody who had been in the group for a long time would be like, do you think both of those things can be true at once? And that's when I knew they were kind of ready to make that step down. They have not only internalized it, but they can like hear it when other people are saying it, like where that conflict is really happening. So as we're kind of like wrapping up our time, and I'm gonna leave space at the end if anything has come up for you, for anything that we've talked about that you want to make sure we go back to and like have space for. I am curious, what's one thing you wish you could share with other travelers? Like advice, or an app, or a story, anything that you just wish, like, if you could have all the nomadic people right there listening, and you were like, this is it, this is the thing for them to know.
Oh my gosh. AAA Gold definitely worth it.
I love that. We're starting with the essentials. You got to get out of the spot.
Yeah. Make sure that whatever insurance or towing or whatever package you have is for, like, whatever your rig setup is. Make sure it is good for that. I really liked Harvest Host. That was a fun app that I thought was really useful, but be wary that sometimes the host will not respond in the time frame that you wish they would, and then you kind of have to have a plan B. What else did I think is so useful? If you think that you're going to save money, be very, very specific with how you think, like, the plan on doing that. Like, don't just go into it thinking you're going to save. If you have a real goal and really intend to save money, make a strict plan and stick to it, because it will just sneak up on you, all the expenses. Like,
so many
they really
extra
do.
expenses.
You have to, you know, your dog gets sick, or your brakes go out, or you need new tires, or, you know, just so many things. So
how much a
weary.
Load of laundry even costs.
Oh yeah, having to pay to do laundry all the time
adds up.
Yeah, water, electricity, not free. So definitely think about those things. One thing that I learned as well is when I was first starting this journey, I was very specific about not wanting to go to states where I couldn't get an abortion. And not because I had any plan of getting pregnant or anything at any time, but it just felt like I assumed they were going to be states that I didn't feel safe in, as a person of color, as a woman, as someone who's queer, but not that anyone would know that by looking at me. So just a lot of any sort of minority. I was like, I feel like I can't go to that place. And I have to say, I'm so glad that I went to all the places that I said I didn't want to go to, because those were some of the places that I had the best times. And I met some really nice people. And sure, maybe they could have been cursing me out by the time they got home, or praying for me under their breath or whatever, but at least to my face, they treated me with kindness and respect. So if you already have a preconceived notion of a place, don't listen to it necessarily. Obviously, if it's like a safety hazard, pay very much attention to that. But yeah, it's easy to assume and judge, and so just try not to do that, I guess. Shout out to Texas. Didn't want to go there, but I had a great time.
Had a great time in Texas.
Yeah. I guess that would be. Those would kind of be my number ones. But definitely do it. Whatever you thought you've always wanted to do, just try it. Even if it doesn't go well, you tried, and now you know why it won't go well. You know? Or you can learn to do something else or whatever. But things are always worth trying, in my opinion.
Love yourself enough to try.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe I'm a hopeless romantic, but I feel like that's worth it in, like, romantic relationships as well. I think it's worth trying if you want it to be, you know. Obviously, if you truly don't want it and you can, like, kind of feel that, then it's not worth it. But if it's something you truly want, then it's always going to be worth the risk.
Yeah. Oh, I feel that. My soul felt that one. Yeah. You have to love yourself enough to try. You have to want to really live life. Is there anything that we, like, touched on, or anything we didn't touch on that you want space for?
I also would just say that I really appreciate the online, like, social media nomad influencers who do keep it real, because I have seen plenty of people who have been like, all right, I had to get an apartment, it was fun while it lasted, or I just got, you know, married and now we're buying a house and moving out of the bus, or whatever. Like, showing people that it's okay to change your mind or do something different or make change, and it doesn't mean failure, it doesn't mean you've lost anything, it doesn't have to mean something negative, you know. And I, like, comment on like, their posts and stuff. I'm like, thank you for sharing this perspective, because it does feel like you fail if you need to take a break, or if you do something else, or that there's only one way to be a nomad. There's not. Like, there's so many ways, and it's all different for everybody, and you need to find your niche and what works for you.
I don't think I've met two people who have done it the same, or, like, I mean, there's, like, some similarities in stories, but everyone has their own story. That's the beauty of being a human being, right? We all come into this with our own perspective. We all have our own experience.
Oh, and just, like, listen to people's stories and try to absorb it all. It's so fun.
I'm hoping that we could do some of that with the podcast, just like really getting people to slow down and hear the realities, right? Of what does this look like for people? Where is their mental health? Where is their thoughts? How did they grow? What were the challenges? Some of the things that I think often get lost in like the hype of social media sometimes. And I get it, because I think we're also not giving ourselves credit for being the first generation to really navigate social media. I remember back when it was like, rank your top 5 friends, right, on like MySpace.
Yeah.
And now we're at this point where it's like, we're starting to really utilize social media as a tool. And taking that control of like, okay, this has been around, this is how we're gonna mindfully use this. I think it's helpful. You're having a thought. I can see it in your face.
I did just have a thought, but it's that the windows on my tent are open.
Oh god. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up because my windows are also definitely open. But before we wrap up, I just want to make sure it's okay with you that this was recorded and that I use this on Paradox Traveler podcast.
Absolutely. It was such a joy and pleasure and honor to be invited to do this with you. It's my first podcast, and I will just try not to listen to myself or judge my voice too harshly after I hear it being published.
Give yourself some kindness.
Yeah.
We don't have room to judge ourselves harshly.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for doing this with me, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is going to go anywhere.
It was fun.
But yeah, it was fun. But we are going to wrap it up, though, because all of our stuff is getting soaked.
Nomad life.
You can show your support for this podcast by liking and subscribing here on Spotify or anywhere that you listen to this podcast, now available on most major streaming services.